What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're going to be digging into the West Coast Avengers pack. This just came in, so let's check it out.
Now tuning into the Encountered Culture.
Pity race, stop being replaced. Counter-culture to your face. Fun to pretend that you want it to end. I'd rather be drinking with my friends. When we go out, you'll never see us again.
Alright, as promised, today we are going to be looking at the West Coast Avengers. Let's look at the box. Checking out the box, we get this beautiful cover art. I always loved these packs, with several figures in them, especially when you used to be able to, open the front here and look at the figures, but I digress. Still love what they do when they put these packs out. You get a beautiful cover, everything looking cool, nice homages. West Coast Avengers, you got what you got inside. There's your important information at the bottom. Flip it to the side. We do get images of all the characters in here. So these are the renderings of each figure. So Iron Man, Mockingbird, Spider-Woman, Tigress, and of course Hank Pym. Flip it to the back. There's some more images, so you get the little comic pieces, then more renderings of the figures, what you get inside. So of course, Iron Man comes with some extra hands and those blaster effects. Mockingbird has the bow staff and the breakaway one, as well as some extra hands. Tiger comes with that extra head and those extra hands. Spider-Woman, extra hands. Hank, extra hands. At least everybody's got extra hands this time. Flip it to this side, then you get the comic versions, kind of the reverse of what we had on the other side. So those were their figure renders, and then here are the comic versions of those characters. Beautiful box. All right, let's check it out. Fresh out the box, it's an okay set. It's okay. That's it. I don't know. We'll go over each figure individually. Just pulling everything out, though, is not a lot of eye grabbing. So some of these we've had some versions before, others we haven't. But we'll go through, we'll see what everything is, see what's going on, and we'll go from there. First up, we'll take a look at the Silver Centurion Iron Man. Of course, we've had a previous release of this as a Walgreens exclusive, pictured here. Looking at the two figures, I do think the previous version looks better just because it does have that silver paint deco. This with the white, I know it looks a little bit closer to the retro-carded War Machine, so it works in that aspect, but just overall, this silver looks better on the figure. The figure itself, though, a fine figure for anybody who is looking for this. For those of you who have been waiting to build out your West Coast Avengers, if you already had it, were you disappointed that you got this Iron Man in this pack? And if so, what else would you have wanted in the pack? I imagine that would be the case. I hadn't necessarily intended to build out the West Coast Avengers. Now I will be, because this is a good Kickstarter for me, and I imagine that's the case for some other people as well. So we have seen this Iron Man before, so for the sake of time and the amount of figures in this case, we won't go through articulation there, but just, so you get an idea of what you get. So you do get the two effects. The older one did come with more effects as well, so there is that. For your size comparison, I do have them backed up against the 80th anniversary Iron Man. This is my preferred Iron Man, just as a side note. But there you go. You can see, as far as the armors, different armors would have different heights, depending on what it is. So this, even though he's kind of got a lean to him, the Silver Centurion does look a tad taller. So there you go. There is your size comparison. Alright, up next we're going to take a look at Mockingbird. I like this costume on the Mockingbird. The figure itself has some things going on, but I do like this costume. Of course, they could have went with the Lady Deathstrike sleeves and made that a little bit closer to accurate, but still a nice version. I like this. It'll go better in my collection than the previous version, which I'll show in a little bit here, but let's take a quicker look at the figure. So of course you do get extra hands. You get the baton here that's in the pieces. This one's different than the older one that we used to see a lot with like the Daredevil figures. It's smaller, so it's kind of cool. She does have the bow staff and a hand that can actually hold the bow staff, so that's pretty decent as well. Of course you do get a flare hand like that. I don't know why, but it's cool. Alright, so looking at the figure itself, of course we do have single jointed elbows, which will be limited a little bit by the sleeve piece itself. Arms will go out just about that far. They'll come forward as such and back just like that. Of course, with the head, you're not going to have anything going back because of the hair here, which that's fine. This hair looks really good. I like what they did as far as that sculpt is concerned. This face sculpt looks really beautiful, like the mask and everything looks really nice. But back to the head, right? So she looks down like that far. You can go all the way around though, so in case you need to do that. But yeah, just a really nice face sculpt. All right, a little bit loose up here on mine. I think like that. It's just. I don't know why, but it's definitely a little bit loose. But of course, if you lean back, you do get a little bit of a gap. And she'll move forward just about that much. And then nothing down in the abdomen there. Upper thigh swivel. Double jointed, pinless knees that don't want to move. Alright, so there you go. You know what that's about. Alright. Nothing at the calf there. And then with these boots, they're fine, but they are terrible to stand. Like, she has been just a pain to get to stand. Thankfully, she has the bow staff, so that really helps prop her up. Joints, nothing's gummy, but like I said, definitely a little bit loose in certain areas. With the hands, of course, you have the front and back there on that swivel. Same with this hand and the other two as well. For your comparison, here is the previous Mockingbird up against this one. Height-wise, they will be about the same. She's in a crouch position. That's just the position that I had her displayed in. But just to have an idea. So, more modern costume, decent figure. This, I think, just looks better with the aesthetic of my collection. So I like that we're going to be able to add that version of Mockingbird to the display. So we'll see what that looks like later on. But there you go. Just a quick view of the two of them side by side. Taking a look at Spider-Woman, this is one where I was, not sure that we actually needed another version of this Spider-Woman. Of course, she is on a pinless body, and that's going to be something that a lot of people will flock to as far as wanting something a little bit more updated. But I don't know. I like the previous release of Spider-Woman. She was a nice figure. We'll look at it, back to back here in a moment. We'll take a look at this one a little bit closer, though, just to see what's going on here. So like I said, she is on a more modern body, so that part, that looks great. No question about that. The pinless stuff, it really does make a difference, even though like if it's done in the same colors, it doesn't bother me, but it does definitely look sleek when it is done. The one thing that I don't like about this version is this hair. Like, it just seems like there's this like weirdly large gap back here. I don't know, like it doesn't look natural. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of just looking at it up close in person, it just doesn't look great. And then it's fairly flat in color, right? So that doesn't really help. As far as the motion, of course, she'll look down pretty decent actually, and then nothing back. You should already be aware of that. Again, these are figures with a lot of reuse, so I won't belabor the articulation. too much, but of course you do get the double jointed elbows and knees, which is nice, and everything feels pretty good. Nothing is gummy on this one, nothing loose either. So all around, I mean, she does feel pretty good as far as the figure itself is concerned. All right, let's take a look at both of them back to back. So here we have the previous release of Spider-Woman backed up against the newer one. I just like the head sculpt so much better on this older one, and maybe it's the wash that just adds a bit of dynamism to the hair, whereas that one just looks very flat. You also get this cool effect, so there's a little bit more going on there. It is pinned, but those pins are white, so they blend in just nice. The single jointed elbows would be like obviously the main knock on that figure, but other than that, I mean, the articulation, the range of motion on each of them is going to be fairly similar. She'll obviously have a lot more in the arms, and and she is a little bit more muscular, I guess I would say. This one's definitely a slender version of the female body for these figures, but I don't know. I'm going to take a look to see if this head does anything on that body, see how that goes. But yeah, I like this head sculpt much better than the new one. All right, so yeah, that's not bad at all. It definitely works. So if anybody was interested in knowing what that looked like, this is the previous release Spider-Woman's head on the newer body. So totally works. I might end up just doing that. This way you get the best of both worlds, at least in my opinion. You guys let me know if you disagree totally with that down in the comments. I'm curious if anybody, I get it. It's like a different version, right? But just, I don't know, something is off about this head sculpt. Next, we'll look at Tigress. So this is one that I know a lot of people didn't like the previous release. Of course, we'll look at that in just a moment because of the colors. So this is the preferred color scheme, and it looks good, right? It was initially I was thinking like, damn, do we need another one already? Like, we just got it. Why'd you do that the first time? Why didn't you just give us this the first go round? But we all know the answer to that one. But yeah, so she looks nice in this shade of orange. Definitely, oh no, the tail. Definitely looks a little bit better, and I'm sure a lot of people are happy to have her in this color. Everything is exactly the same, so we don't need to worry about how the articulation works. But of course, you are on pinless, so that is good for those of you that like that. All right, so here we have Tigra backed up against Tigra. So you have the Cheeto version versus the newer West Coast Avengers version. Alright, so obviously a huge difference in the color. You do get the blue suit as opposed to a more brownish colored suit on the other one. Looking at these face sculpts, I thought that they were the same, but this one, never mind, they are the same. For some reason, I guess in the lighter shade, it just looked a little bit different off the bat, but nah, definitely the same. Last but certainly not least, our newest character to our collections, Hank Pym, in his civilian attire. So, obviously some reuse. We've seen some of this stuff with like Red Skull, Dormammu, Wonderman, right? There's some pieces in there, so definitely some parts we've seen before. So again, we don't need to go too deep into the articulation. We will take a little bit closer look. Obviously, you get an extra set of hands with him. Looking at the paint, like, it's a very sort of flat color on most of the, not on most, on the arms and the legs. But then you look at the torso, and it definitely has more of a glossy finish. So I don't know if that might just be a one-off on my figure itself. So looking at the face sculpt, though, again, they just continue to do just a very nice job with these head sculpts. Spider-Woman in this set aside, in my humble opinion, but definitely, just look at that. Just the realism in this. Just a really, really nice face sculpt. So fairly basic figure, but I know a lot of you are happy to finally add a Hank Pym to your collection, so There you go. All right, so here we have Pym backed up against what is supposed to be a Hank Pym Ant-Man figure, but apparently he's a little bit taller when he's not wearing the costume. Although, he can adjust his size, so, use your imagination, I suppose. But there you have it. There he is backed up against himself there in the costume, so this is cool. Probably would look, you could do some like head swaps and stuff, so we'll take a look at that, see what that looks like. And you guys let me know what you think about everything down in the comments. I'd like to hear your thoughts about this pack, what you're looking forward to, what you don't like. Let's talk about it down in the comments. So just in case you wanted to get an idea of what this would look like with the Hank Pym head, there you go. You can take a look at that real quick, see what's going on. I don't know if anybody had that as a preference in their collection, but just in case. Alright folks, so there you have it. There are your West Coast Avengers from Marvel Legends. This is a pack that's just coming out. Some of you got it like a couple weeks ago. Some of you were getting it this week. Some of you were waiting. I don't know. You play the waiting game, see what happens. But you guys let me know what you think about this down in the comments below. I think overall it's an okay pack. There's some good stuff in there. There's some okay stuff. There's, probably some things that could have happened that didn't happen, and some things that did happen that you're like, why? But I don't know. I digress. You guys let me know what you think about it down in the comments below. I'm going to build out this West Coast Avengers team now, so I am looking forward to that part of it. That is the joy of collecting. But of course, as always, guys, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe below. And if you are over on Instagram or you are over on Whatnot, feel free to come over and check it out over there as well. Would certainly appreciate it. Don't forget to say hi if you do jump over there. But again, appreciate you just dropping in here, checking it out, seeing what's going on. Until next time, take it easy.
I'm being erased, I'm being replaced. Counterculture's in your face. Fun to pretend that you want it to end. I'd rather be a drinking with my friends. When we go out, you'll never see us again.